Perfect. Miss Viola Davis, this is Scott Evans from Access Hollywood. It's so good to see your face. It is so good to see your face. I guess the only place to begin really is at the beginning. I have heard. I'm just gonna read you. I'm gonna read you back your own words, and you tell me.
Oh man,
You
that's
tell me.
taking back my own words.
To play my Rainey, you channeled the part of my I channeled the part of my culture and even a part of me and my family members that doesn't feel worthy and thinks it has no value. I channeled the depth of the soul of every African American who never could follow their dreams, who were always told that they were less than. And to see Ma Rainey in her glory claim her space,
Hmm.
fill it up wide,
Yes.
fill it up wide. I just imagine that that was an experience for you of just finally a role, right?
Yes. It was liberating, is what it was. It was liberating. It was finally the chains and everything had been ripped off. But that's how you feel when you perform any of August's work. Because what you have with August is autonomy. You don't have characters that have been filtered through the white gaze. Even their sexuality. I mean, most of the time you see big women on screen, they're playing big, the big, covering their body, whatever. I mean, she's big, but she's sexual. She
Yeah.
owns it. There's life in it because that's what it is in our culture. I
Right.
mean, I know my aunties, all the people I know who are big. They, you can't tell them that they can't wear something that's low cut. You can't tell them. So it was
I'm gonna be big and sexy.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It was I have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have heard that at one point you said Aretha Franklin was the kind of body, the kind of physicality that you were channeling, and that you felt sexy as Ma Rainey. You felt like empowered, feminine
Yes,
as Ma Rainey. Is that right?
I felt more empowered in that padding than I do with myself and my body. There was something that was released in me. I mean, at one point I said maybe I should cover her boobage, and then I was like, Viola, you know, all the women, all your aunties coming from down south, and the boobage is coming out. They're fanning themselves, sweat is dripping down, and they're not trying to cover anything. They're not aware of anything.
Right. Please tell me that you took a little Ma Rainey home to Julius and said, "Hey, now."
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love it. This is one of those movies. I was just talking to Glenn, and he was saying, well, one of your co-stars, he was saying that this movie, that when there was a performance of yours in the very beginning of the movie under a tent, and that the extras were saying, Annalise Keating, can we have an autograph? But by the time you were done on that stage, everybody was like, Ma Rainey is here. Hey. And it made me think because, of course, we hear all of this Oscar buzz around the film, around you. And that to me is not a surprise. You are such a gift in this movie, but also your co-star Chadwick,
Yeah.
the Oscar buzz for him, and I would imagine that for you that might be even more special.
Oh, yeah,
To
absolutely.
know.
It is because it's deserved. That's why. And it's not because he is now transitioned and he's passed. That's not it. And I know that that's probably could be the narrative that's being portrayed out there. No, it's not, it's that's not it. What's it is he was a great artist. And he was a great artist who met a great role and he fulfilled it. And if you look at Levy, you've seen the movie. Levy is probably the greatest role for a young African American actor ever in history of Black drama and Black plays. And it is very hard to give yourself over to a young man who has experienced that level of trauma, those long monologues, those long riffs, making you believe that he's a musician, all of those things. The challenges of that role was met by a great artist, and that's why he deserves any kind of awards consideration.
It is there is a portion of Levy's portrayal where he goes into a monologue where he questions God. How can God exist
Oh yeah.
in the midst of all this pain, in the midst of my own pain?
Oh yeah.
And how knowing now, I'm getting a little emotional just thinking about it, but just
Yeah.
knowing now what we know he was dealing with, how might your experiences on set have been? How are you looking at them a little differently these days?
Well, because I know the play and I know that part of that hits me the most because I know that Chadwick was a very spiritual man too. He and his family, they are firm believers in God. And so I imagine that that must have cost him something, but it costs any artist something. Listen, we have to use ourselves. We do. We have to use and channel whatever is in us. And I'm just wondering where he was in his spirit to be able to play that scene.
Mm.
That's that's some deep stuff. That's some deep artistry right there.
Mhm.
Sometimes people feel like the artistry is in the different accents and all of that. The artistry is also in emotionally giving yourself over to a character. So I wonder where he was when he's raging at God and questioning God as Levy. And then him being Chadwick, being 43 and having a cancer diagnosis. Certainly that has crossed my mind.
As I let you go, I just wonder where Jaja and Jaji might be thinking about Viola and her sister right now.
Well, Jaji and Jaja are in the graveyard because we found out at 14 that we didn't need Jaja and Jaji. We only needed the power of our dreams,
Mm.
the hopes and the belief that we could make them come to fruition without channeling the spirits of very thin white women. But Jaji and Jaja certainly would be having a long, long lunch with their little poodles right now.
It is always so good to see you. Thank you for showing up the way that you did in this interview. I really, really appreciate your energy every single time. And I don't know that I ever get to actually say that to you because it's whisked off to the next thing. And I didn't want this moment to pass without me saying thank you.
Thank you. I
Really
appreciate
appreciate it.
it.
Have a great rest of the day. Mama Rainey. Woo! Woo! Chill.
Bye-bye.